Hello, friends. The river's flow is steady today, and something tells me I'm about to witness something that's a bit livelier than the usual peaceful drift. In the early Vedic world, power didn't always come from a crown, it came from the Sabha and the Samiti. Think of them as ancient proto-parliaments where leaders were questioned, decisions debated, and everyone, from warriors to elders, had a say. Let's start with the Sabha. This was the council of the wise, usually elders and experienced men of the clan. It handled disputes, settled punishments, and gave advice to the Rajan, or tribal chief. Picture serious faces, long beards, and the occasional heated interruption. It wasn't always dignified, but it was deliberate. Then there was the Samiti, larger, louder, and more public. Here, the whole tribe could gather. Military decisions were made, alliances discussed, and sometimes leaders elected. Yes, elected. The word Rajan doesn't always mean king in the absolute sense. It could mean a chosen war leader, and in some tribes, the Samiti picked him. But make no mistake, these weren't utopian communes. Voices were heard, but hierarchy still existed. Brahmins carried spiritual weight, Kshatriyas flexed military power, and speakers with silver tongues probably won more arguments than those with truth on their side. Sound familiar? Still, it was remarkably participatory for its time. These assemblies were where the tribe could debate, discuss, and, if the Raja was in a good mood, vote. Sure, it wasn't the kind of vote we think of today, but imagine everyone making their case, offering wisdom from the past, chanting verses from the Rig Veda, and even, likely, throwing in a few barbs about someone's herd of cows. My cows are stronger than yours, and my strategy is better than your last one, might have been heard a few times. In a way, the Sabhas and Samitis were proto-democratic. If you had the gift of gab, and maybe a few cows to back you up, you could sway the decision. It wasn't just the Raja's say, it was the people's. The best speech won, much like how today's politicians try to convince the people of their grand plans. Except, I'd bet, fewer PowerPoint presentations. And the best part? Women weren't excluded from these discussions. Imagine a fire pit debate with everyone sitting around. Yes, there were men leading, but there were also women, respected as rishikas, participating in these assemblies. If you had a good point, your gender didn't matter. Now, we're not talking the rise of full democracy here. This was still a society rooted in kinship, in cattle, and in family. But the seeds of a political system were being sown. You could have your voice heard, make a proposal, and if it was strong enough, it would stick. It was a far cry from the divine thunder of Indra, but it was grounded in the very human desire for order and fairness. Picture this: a Raja sitting on a wooden seat, not a throne, I assure you, listening intently to a crowd of villagers, each making their case for whether to raid a neighboring tribe's territory. One proposes, "It's time for war, let's bring the thunder of Indra." Another counters, "Let's hold our ground and wait for a good harvest." And then, the decision is made, not by one man, not by divine lightning, but by the community. Sounds like an early form of democracy, doesn't it? One where the people have to have their say, or at least be heard over the rumbles of thunder and fire. The Raja's authority wasn't absolute. It was a blend of wisdom, leadership, and listening to the hearts of the people. And that's how things were decided, not always peacefully. I'm sure there were plenty of raised voices and cows used as bargaining chips, but with a sense of shared responsibility. It was an age of beginnings where societies were figuring out how to work together in harmony, and sometimes with a little extra thunder from Indra to spice things up. But now the river's going calm again. The rumbles fade, the voices quieten. It's time for the next chapter in this journey. Because while we've got the assemblies, the cows, and the wisdom of the gods, there's one thing these tribes haven't done yet: settle. Next, I'll leave the wandering behind and follow the slow march toward agrarian life, when the tents turn to villages and the cattle turn into fields of grain.